Well, greetings and welcome back. We have a new format here, which I'm struggling with. Well, shopping for some jewelry at Pennyweights, which my wife naturally enjoys, and she spent some time perusing around. And I have to admit, it is a nice store, and they don't push you, and their prices are somewhat reasonable, especially for New Canaan. So as time went by, I asked the sales girl, who was very patient and waiting on her, I said, "When do you close?" And she hesitated, and I smiled and chuckled. This could be a long one. You should probably go get lunch. We'll still be here. And around Mother's Day, I have to get prepared since my dear wife cherishes Mother's Day, and I tend to slack off on some of these special occasions. Just not a big fan. However, she is still working 5 days a week. She is my wife, whereas I've retired, and it should probably be me who's still employed. And quite a few years ago, she mentioned that Mother's Day was approaching, and I responded by saying, "You're not my mother." That did not go over well, of course, many years ago, and that changed everything because the day I said this has not been forgotten by her or me. And what is it with these daytime shows with everyone screaming and yelling, especially seeing Drew Carey hosting the show? And he was a great stand up comedian. And the other Drew, that's the Drew Barrymore show on CBS this morning, with more screaming than any other show on TV, at least as far as I see and hear. Haven't we had enough of this nonsense? My thought about it is that maybe it's time to put these out to pasture. I feel sorry for the people on the show. Don't you have better things to do? I wouldn't be caught dead on those shows. Pull the plug. And common sense is not a gift, it is a punishment because you have to deal with everyone who doesn't have it. And that's from George Bernard Shaw. I got a little bit of a cough here. You know what I really hate doing at 71? Peeing. Yes, peeing. It's lots of fun. You pee, and then it's a slow, diminishing draw that starts rolling down your leg with the drops slowly getting absorbed by your underwear and pants. Great topic, right? Which means that both of them will have to get thrown into the laundry basket. It's inevitable, and it took me a couple of years to be patient and learn this skill. However, most of the time, you still lose the battle. So, you guys over 55 or so, take your time and don't rush it. There was a time when I had to change my pants every day or so, depending on the damage I did. I'm just trying to pass this information on to you to get ready for this occurrence. Oh, good. There is a question, and it's what did America contribute to our country? That's not an easy one. The answer was Louis Armstrong. And I read this recently, and he was and still is the ambassador to our country. You can say that it doesn't make sense, but if you ever saw him play his trumpet and get entranced by his charm, grace, and his wit, his warmth, and his talent, I believe it's the truth, and I'll go with it. And I think I'm repeating this before, but my mother was right. The past is prologue. Look it up if you need to. They go hand in hand. And I like what Louis C.K. asked his audience if they believe in God, and clap if you do. They clapped, and okay, he said that's about 30 people out of 1,400. That's not too bad. And because I don't believe there's a God, I fucking hope there's not a God. This is him. Please, God, don't be. This shit is over. You go to a church now, and it reminds me of going to a skating rink on Wednesday. And W.C. Fields is caught reading the Bible, and his friends say to him, "I've never seen you read the Bible, so what are you doing?" And he naturally says, "I'm looking for loopholes." And in the movie, My Little Chickadee, Mae West is reading a book, and it says, "I'm a good boy, I'm a good man, I'm a good girl." And she responds by saying, "What is this, propaganda?" And then George Carlin created comedy to express the needs of the world. So basically, he was a teacher, a poet, and a politician. And it's almost as if comedy was more of a lesson to be learned. And that's very true. Great comedian, boy. I really miss him. This is supposedly one of the funniest Irish jokes from Dave Allen. There's a big fellow standing outside a bar, and standing outside is a nun, and she looks at him and says, "Before you enter this den of iniquity, think of your mother and your father." And he said, "They're dead. They're dead in heaven. Have you ever thought of the damage the alcohol is going to do to your brain?" And he goes, "Huh? What are you talking about? Have you ever had a drink?" And the nun says, "No." And he said, Well, then how in the hell can you stand there and talk about it and say the drink is going to do damage to your brain if you've never had it? And I'll tell you what, I'll go in and get a drink, bring it out, give it to you, you drink it. If you don't like it, then you can talk about it. But don't talk about things you've never experienced. So, what do you have? The nun says, I don't know. What do ladies genuinely drink? He says, gin. So she says, all right, I'll have a gin, but get it in a cup so nobody will notice. So the fellow goes into the bar and he says, get me a pint of beer and a double gin in a cup. And the bartender says, isn't that bloody nun here again? My wife attended a seminar on the Marche region in Italy, which was held in the city. And from what she said, it was a very sophisticated presentation since it's renowned for its food, wine, cheese, and especially truffles. And it's such a slower pace there too. She did tell me when I picked her up at the station that it's absolutely incredible with what they offer and that the presentation was one of the best she's ever witnessed. Everyone was polished, cultured, and very polite. So that opened up an opportunity for me as I reminded her that that's where my father's side of the family is from. And that's where I get my sophistication, my suave and my cosmopolitan way. Yeah, right. It's natural with us. And she looks at me and says, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, right. These people will blow you away. You don't know your ass from your elbow. And I have to admit that I always enjoyed the moxie of one of our directors that she did not let anyone push her around or anyone in the group. And when it came to holidays and Hanukkah, she took us to the best restaurants in New York City. For instance, we went to Alex Garnaschelli's restaurant, which was superb. Same for Lydia Bastianich's restaurant. For both establishments, you pay the bill and the company reimburses her. And until Marcy came along and got us to enjoy these restaurants, the previous boss took us to an Irish pub that served hamburger steaks and fries. And unfortunately, Marcy did not stay with us much longer and thus went to high class restaurants in the city. And that is the end.